What if a single mistake could change the outcome of an entire battle? In the year 625 C, on the slopes of Mount Uhud near Medina, a small army of Muslims faced a powerful force from Mecca. At first, victory seemed certain, but one critical moment, when a group of archers left their positions, changed everything. What followed was chaos, sacrifice, and one of the most emotional tests the Muslim community had ever faced. This is the story of the Battle of Uhud, a battle that taught powerful lessons about obedience, patience, and faith, a test after victory. The Battle of Uhud took place in the third year after the migration of the Prophet Muhammad from Mecca to Medina. It came only 1 year after the famous Battle of Badr, where a much smaller Muslim army had achieved an unexpected victory over the Quraysh of Makkah. That victory had shocked the leaders of Quraysh. Their pride was wounded, their powerful warriors had been killed, and their reputation across Arabia had been shaken. For them, revenge was not just a desire, it was a necessity. The leaders of Quraysh began preparing for a new confrontation. Their goal was clear: defeat the Muslims and restore their lost honor. Meanwhile, in Medina, the Muslim community was growing stronger, but they were still surrounded by enemies and constant threats. No one knew that the next battle would become one of the most emotional and difficult moments in early Islamic history. 2. Quraysh prepare for revenge. After their defeat at Badr, the leaders of Quraysh, including Abu Sufyan, began gathering support for a large military campaign against Medina. They raised an army of nearly 3,000 soldiers, including 200 horsemen, 700 armored warriors, many experienced fighters from different tribes. Some women also accompanied the army to encourage the soldiers and boost their morale. Their objective was simple: march to Medina, defeat the Muslims, and eliminate the growing influence of Islam. When news of this approaching army reached Medina, the Prophet Muhammad gathered his companions to discuss how they should respond. Some companions suggested defending Medina from inside the city. Others, especially the younger companions who had missed the Battle of Badr, wanted to go out and meet the enemy on the battlefield. After consultation, it was decided that the Muslims would leave Medina and face the Quraysh army near Mount Uhud. 3. The Muslim army marches out. The Muslim army initially numbered around 1,000 soldiers. However, on the way to the battlefield, a group of hypocrites led by Abdullah ibn Ubay withdrew with 300 men, leaving only about 700 Muslims to face the much larger Quraysh army. Despite this sudden loss of manpower, the remaining companions remained determined. When the Muslims reached the area near Mount Uhud, the Prophet carefully organized the army's positions. Behind the Muslim army was a small hill. The Prophet placed 50 archers on this hill and gave them a very strict command. He said to them, "Even if you see birds eating our bodies, do not leave your position. Even if you see us collecting the spoils of war, do not leave your position until I give you the order." This hill later became known as Jabal al-Ruma, or the Hill of the Archers. The purpose of this strategy was to protect the Muslim army from a surprise attack from the rear. 4. The battle begins. As the two armies faced each other, the tension was intense. The Quraysh army was larger and better equipped, but the Muslims were determined and motivated by faith. The battle began with individual duels between warriors from both sides, a common tradition in Arabian warfare. Soon, the full battle erupted. At first, the Muslims fought with great courage and discipline. Their lines held firm, and many Quraysh fighters began retreating. The Muslim army gradually pushed the enemy back. It seemed that another victory, similar to Badr, was about to happen. But then something unexpected occurred. 5. The critical mistake. As the Quraysh soldiers began retreating, many of the Muslim archers on the hill believed the battle was already won. They saw the enemy leaving and noticed that some Muslims had started collecting the spoils of war from the battlefield. Despite the Prophet's clear instructions, many of the archers decided to leave their position to join the others. Their leader tried to remind them of the Prophet's command, but most of them left the hill. Only a small number of archers remained. This decision created a dangerous gap in the Muslim defense. And someone was watching. 6. Khalid ibn al-Walid's attack. At that time, one of the commanders of the Quraysh cavalry was Khalid ibn al-Walid, who had not yet accepted Islam. He was a skilled military strategist. When Khalid noticed that the hill was now mostly unguarded, he immediately understood the opportunity. He led his cavalry around the hill and launched a sudden attack from behind the Muslim army. At the same time, the Quraysh soldiers who had been retreating turned back and attacked from the front. Suddenly, the Muslims were surrounded from both sides. The battlefield quickly turned into chaos. 7. Confusion and rumors. The unexpected attack caused confusion among the Muslim ranks. Some soldiers became separated from the main army. During this chaotic moment, a false rumor spread across the battlefield that the Prophet Muhammad had been killed. This rumor shocked the companions. Some of them became deeply distressed, while others continued fighting with even greater determination. In reality, the Prophet was alive, but had been injured during the battle. 8. The Prophet is injured. During the intense fighting, the Prophet Muhammad was struck and injured. His helmet was broken, and he fell into a small pit during the battle. His face was wounded, and one of his blessed teeth was broken. Despite his injuries, the Prophet remained strong and continued guiding his companions. Several loyal companions rushed to defend him, forming a protective circle around him while the battle continued around them. Their courage and sacrifice saved the Prophet from further harm. 9. The martyrdom of Hamza ibn Abdul-Muttalib. One of the most tragic moments of the battle was the martyrdom of Hamza ibn Abdul-Muttalib. Hamza was the beloved uncle of the Prophet and one of the bravest warriors among the Muslims. He fought with incredible courage during the battle. However, he was targeted by a skilled spear thrower named Washi. Washi had been promised freedom if he managed to kill Hamza. During the battle, Washi threw his spear from a distance, striking Hamza and causing his martyrdom. The loss of Hamza deeply saddened the Prophet and the Muslim community. 10. The end of the battle. Eventually, the fighting slowed, and the Quraysh army chose not to continue advancing toward Medina. Although the Muslims had suffered heavy losses, the Quraysh did not fully achieve their objective of destroying the Muslim community. After some time, the Quraysh forces withdrew from the battlefield and began returning to Makkah. For the Muslims, the battle had been extremely painful. Approximately 70 companions were martyred that day. The battlefield of Uhud became a place of sacrifice and remembrance. 11. Lessons from the Battle of Uhud. The Battle of Uhud carries powerful lessons that continue to inspire Muslims today. First, it shows the importance of obedience to leadership. The archers had been given a clear instruction, and leaving their positions changed the course of the battle. Second, it teaches the importance of discipline and unity during difficult moments. Third, it reminds believers that victory and defeat are both part of life's tests. Even in hardship, faith, patience, and trust in God remain essential. 12. Legacy of Uhud. Today, the area around Mount Uhud in Medina remains one of the most important historical locations in Islamic history. Visitors from around the world come to see the battlefield and the graves of the martyrs of Uhud. The Prophet Muhammad once said about this mountain, "Uhud is a mountain that loves us, and we love it." The story of Uhud is not just about a battle. It is a story about sacrifice, loyalty, faith, and the lessons learned during one of the most difficult tests faced by the early Muslim community.